Hey there, this is Angela with Permaculture. I haven't made a video in a few days because the air quality has been and continues to be hazardous in my neighborhood. I'm outside today, obviously wearing my N95 so that I can pick pears. I got partway through picking my suckle pears before the air quality became unsafe, and I really need to get the rest of them in. So while I'm out here, I'm going to be showing you a few things around the garden really quickly. I'm trying to get out here and get my chores done in less than 15 minutes and get back in the house. But I wanted to show you a few things here in my garden in early September, considering it's been very dry. The air quality has been abysmal and the winds have been quite bad. The garden is looking pretty ragged, but there's still a lot of really wonderful things going on. So let me give you a quick update. First off, we are right out my back door here in the rain garden. And there is a Stropharia rugosa annulata mushroom growing in the path. These are mushrooms that are culinary, and I seeded them in the garden. I have some old videos where you can see how I got the spawn ready and got the mycelium growing in the garden. Stropharia is a really tasty mushroom. I think it tastes a little bit like peanuts. It's best cooked. So here is what it looks like. It is called the garden giant because it can get as big as a dinner plate. You can see here probably a mouse or a bird has been pecking on it, nibbling on it. This is more mature than I usually would like. So what I tend to do with these is when they come up in places and it's rainy or I miss one and they're over mature, I actually break them up. Here you can see the mycelium on the bottom, and I sprinkle them around the garden so that they can continue to spread. This is a great culinary mushroom if you are new to growing edible mushrooms because it likes sun. It doesn't need full shade and it thrives on wood chips. So it grows everywhere and it slowly spreads around the garden, and it is impossible to mistake for any other mushroom. It has this beautiful kind of burgundy color to the top. It has gills that leave you can see here, a purplish black print. It's just a really lovely mushroom. You can dehydrate it, you can cook it in a skillet, you can batter it and fry it. Really great, versatile, meaty mushroom. Easy to grow. Okay, let's move on and see what else is out here really quickly. I need to get into the poultry run to my suckle pear tree right here. So as we move along, I'm really excited to see that the bees are out on my aster today. Pick up my basket here. Good to see there are some bees out. It's really important right now to give them water. It hasn't rained in a really long time, and they're thirsty, and they also need water to regulate the conditions of their hive. There are also hoverflies out right now, quite a lot of hoverflies. So it's good to see there are some flying. There have been some days where I haven't seen any bees at all. So I'm a little bit worried for my bee colonies, but it appears there are some bees flying today. I do also see some yellow jackets, so I'll be careful as I move through the garden. The air quality and the cooler nighttime temperatures have really impacted my goomyberry down here. It is starting to change color. In your climate, goomyberries may be evergreen. In mine, they are semi-evergreen, but they don't usually drop their leaves until quite late. This one is not looking super happy. All right, let me keep moving down farther through the yard. Here we have an example of what happens when you don't get out to the garden and do diligent garden work every day because the air quality is hazardous. This is a summer squash that was forgotten and is now enormous. And I'm either going to cut it up and cook it, or I might save the seeds, or I might use it just as a decorative gourd for Halloween decorations. We'll see. But a couple days and this is what has happened. My plants are still growing and doing very well despite not being watered and despite there being very little sun. The plants don't look as terrible as I would expect. Okay, moving down into the orchard now. Well, as you can see here, the wind and really just crummy conditions have caused my Negron fig to have some branches snap and fall onto my cathedral hive. This is not a great situation. I'm going to come out here later today. It appears they can still get in and out of the hive entrances, but I'm going to come down here later today with a saw and remove this. I have to have gloves and long sleeves to work with my figs because I'm very allergic to phycin, so which is secreted in the latex of the fig. So I'll get suited up and come down here. Oh yes, I can see there's some really significant splitting. So I'm going to lose this whole section off the fig, but it should recover as a whole. So I'm down here, even with this N95 on, my chest hurts and my head hurts, so I'm going to hurry up. I'm down here to pick pears. And if you look at my earlier video on pears, I grow suckle pears, which are highly fire blight resistant, and they're a self-fertile, lovely little pear, also called a sugar pear or a honey pear. This is all the bigger that they get. They're actually quite big this year because I bothered to thin them. How do you know if they're ripe? So pears ripen from the inside out. So you don't want to let them stay on the tree until they feel soft to the touch, or they will be brown and mushy in the middle. So you know if they're ripe because you lift gently and it comes off very nicely right there at the abscission layer where the pear attached to the tree. So let's try that again with another one. You move this leaf so you can see. You gently lift. If the pear doesn't come off easily when you do that, it's not ready to pick yet. So these will come in and sit on the counter and they'll be ripe soon, and I will use them for canning and pear sauce. My caramel spice pear butter is a Blue Ribbon original recipe, which I do keep secret, but I'll be making that with these. And then also they're wonderful poached in wine. Just a great all-around dessert pear for straight eating as well. So let me get the rest of these picked. I'm going to work quickly because the air quality is still hazardous, and then I will wrap up here and share a few more things. All right, well, I didn't wait to put on long sleeves to take care of the fig. I'm probably going to pay for it because I got some phycin on my arm and it will result in a very painful red rash, but I was really worried about the bees. So I'm breathing a little heavy here. I got all of the branches removed. You can see where the tree has broken from the serious wind we had. So let's look down here. There are a couple more branches in here that are cracked, but I will deal with them later. Here are the branches that I removed. They're very large. I will not be cutting them up until they have a chance to hang out on the ground here and kind of desiccate, and then I will cut them up when they're no longer full of sap, or I should say the sap has dried up and is not free flowing. My bees are very busy because all of a sudden their entryway into their colony is not obscured. So they've come out to find out what's going on. I'm not in a bee suit, so I'm trying to stay back about 6 or 8 feet from them. A little short of breath because the air quality is so bad and the N95 is really insufficient. So I'm going to go back up and show you the pears that I picked, and hang tight, I'll be right back. Okay, back under the pergola, right out the back door. Hope you all enjoyed seeing a little bit of what it's like trying to garden or even exist in Portland, Oregon right now, and much of the West Coast. The air quality as of right now is 418, which is extremely hazardous. The scale only goes to 500. It's really not safe to be outside for any period of time. And I've said this on my Facebook and Instagram. I really worry about our houseless population, our unsheltered community in Portland and along the West Coast. I'm frankly worried about my bees, worried about my ducks that are very old. It's not a good situation right now. So in permaculture, we plan for effective designs, and I really am frustrated with the forest management in the Western United States and the lack of listening to indigenous wisdom and indigenous ways of managing the ecosystems to control rampant fires. So that, along with climate change, I have a lot of frustrations. This feels like a situation that didn't need to get this out of control, but that it would take good permaculture design to kind of get a handle on the complex interactions that need to happen between humans and the landscape and wildlife and livestock in order to bring this situation under control and make it safer for people and the ecosystem. So despite the nonsensical comments that what we need is more clear cutting and just get rid of the forest to make more pasture land, that is not the solution. There is good design and there is good management of ecosystems that have been done by indigenous peoples for centuries, whether it be tallgrass prairie or whether it be controlled burns in forest situations to manage the landscape and to optimize fertility and diversity. If we look at a lot of the indigenous ways of land management, they really are about good design, and permaculture can really learn from them, and modern forestry and agriculture can really learn from indigenous ways of management and permaculture design. So there's all these little warblers coming in right now, lots and lots of displaced birds. If you've got seed, you can put out an extra bird baths. That's great because so many little songbirds moving into the area. Okay, so here are the pears that I picked for my suckle pear tree. This is the second half of the harvest. So one small tree, I got 2 big baskets off of. Most suckle pears are about this big. You can see I wasn't fast enough in my picking and my basket was on the ground and a chicken got to one of them already. These are not ripe. They will need to ripen on the counter, and I put some in the fridge so they can ripen in succession. This is a lot for one very small super dwarf tree. I'm really excited. These are just a wonderful pear, and you can see they really are a beautiful pear when they ripen. They get a little bit of a russety red blush on them and have a wonderful flavor, and they're really very hardy and disease resistant. So a great pear for a small garden. Got a tomato for my lunch. I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna have a cup of tea and take some deep breaths in this safer atmosphere of the house, even though the air quality indoors is not that good either, despite running filters and fans and things. We're all just kind of hanging in here, struggling to hold out until the rain comes and new weather systems can kind of move the smoke out. But that's what things look like right here, right now in Portland, Oregon. Again, let's think about permaculture design. Let's see how we can, what can we do to shift and move policy to embrace sustainable and regenerative ways of managing forests and landscapes that are fire prone, because the fact that we're not doing it in a way that's highly effective impacts people, impacts communities, impacts wildlife, impacts commerce, and we need to be able to design better. We can find better solutions. So hope you all are staying safe. Take care of yourselves. Be gentle with yourselves, and I'll be back soon. Thanks.